Hello! You might remember me from Seaside Chats whenever we release something archival and live, and you might be wondering why am I not there. I'm here to talk about something that is not live archival releases, not a Dave's Picks, not a live box set or anything like that. Here to talk about the new singles that Rhino and Grateful Dead are releasing over the next many years, 6-7 years, something like that. We're going to release 4 a year. I'll get to all the details in a minute. And we figured that because I do the Seaside Chats for all the live stuff, the Dave's Picks and the box sets and things like that, that we'd kind of make this one a little different, do it inside. Plus it's raining out, so it's kind of part of the reason too. If it was a sunny day, I'd probably be a little more tempted to go find an outdoor location. But I needed to get this done because time is running out. So as you might have heard, we are going to be releasing all of the Grateful Dead singles on vinyl, all the 45s, going back to 1966, going way back. And the first one is already being pressed and ready to go, and then we'll have the second one, which will be from the Dead's first record, and on right through probably 7 more years of this. Yeah, just about 6.5, 7 years. Couple of little details that you want to know, maybe you want to know. See, I'm a huge collector of the physical object. I mean, digital is great, it's convenient, it's easy, but the physical object is something that is going to be around, I hate to use the phrase forever, but for a long time. I've got my singles, which I'll get to in a minute. I got a funny story with my single collection. But so we're going to do all 26 of them, and which is 2 sides, so we actually have 52 tracks. Obviously we're going to do side A and side B, and we're limiting each of them to 10,000, and just like the Dave's Picks, they're by subscription, and then after that, once we release them every 3 months, we'll do them a la carte, which will make an announcement, and you can get each individual one on its own. But subscribing to me is the way to go, and I'll tell you why. Because first of all, it's going to be a good collection. I think at the end of 6 years, when you have the whole stack, you'll be pretty happy that you decided to do this. Second of all, free shipping, which is always good. And third of all, I hate thinking about this stuff. You know, if you are a collector and you kind of want to pick these up, and every 3 months you got to remember to keep an eye on things or go and order it 26 times over the next 6 or 7 years, it's definitely the easier way to go. So, I don't know, I'm a big fan of subscribing. I remember when we moved to the subscription model for Dave's Picks, it made everybody's life a lot easier. People seem interested in it. Oh, by the way, thanks for subscribing to Dave's Picks again for 2017. Your support is very much appreciated, so thank you. It's going to be a good year. We got some great stuff lined up with that. But subscribing to this series, I think, is also a great idea. I don't know how much it is. It's $50 or $40, I don't know, but you can check dead.net. If you're watching this, you've probably been at dead.net, so you can check out how much it is. So here's what we're doing. We are pressing new vinyl of all of the Dead singles going back, like I say, to 1966. We're going to be using the original master tape, analog tape from that single when we have access to it. A lot of the singles over the years, we just don't know what happened to them. The vinyl, if they were even cut as singles or copied as singles to reel-to-reel tape. In some cases, the singles identically match the album master. The Golden Road, Cream Puff 4, that one identically matches what's on the album. So in that case, we use the analog master tape for the full album, just taking those 2 tracks and mastering them for vinyl. So we are always going to the original master recording. In some cases, they just don't exist. It's just the way it is. But what you will get is something that is as very good as it could ever be, and frankly, probably a lot better than it's ever been. I am a singles collector going way back to the mid-'80s when I started collecting Dead music. I'll get to my little experience with that in a little bit, but a little bit more about the series. So we're going to be using the original tapes. The first one, there was no original tape available for the really old one. So we've used a high-resolution copy that we made years ago, that a couple of years ago, a few years ago, that is extremely high resolution. So it's, you know, it's really good. It did go through that digital intermediary, but for the most part, we're going to be using, for I think the entire part, we're going to be using the analog tapes for every one of these things, which means they will sound as good as they can be. We'll probably be having Dave Glasser, our good friend Dave Glasser. You might be aware of him through the profile we did at dead.net. He's been doing a lot of work with us, including a lot of the studio remasters over the years with us, whereas Jeffrey Norman is still doing the bulk of the live material we do, box sets, whether it's mixing or mix and mastering, or mastering all the Dave's picks and things. Dave Glasser. Now, Dave Glasser, if you don't know about Dave, go check him out on the internet. He's a Grammy-winning mastering engineer. He's one of the best in the business, and an incredibly good guy to work with. And you know, as we say around these parts, personality goes far, and it's really good to have both extremely qualified people, but just a good hang, you know. And Dave is certainly that. So they sound phenomenal, and we're really putting a lot of effort into making sure that the sound is absolutely as good as it can be. The second, I think the cool thing, again, I was talking a minute ago about the physical object. We are doing something we've never done before. Now, I'm going to give you a little example. When you used to buy singles, it's pretty much what it looked like. It would come in a little sleeve like that, right? So what we're doing now is, in addition to them all being on colored vinyl, I'll get to colored vinyl in a minute, they're on colored vinyl, but each of the sleeves, which will not have this big gaping hole in them, will be an original piece of art reflective of that song or that theme or that something that goes with that song. So we're going to have different artists for each one. The first one is Tim Truman, and if you've been following Grateful Dead releases over the last decade or more, and in the Grateful Dead Almanac, the illustration of the songs, Tim Truman is magnificent. So he's doing the first one, and what this means is we'll have an illustration for both songs, side A and side B. So over the course of the series, you'll have artwork of 52 songs, original new artwork, that will be having many different artists do them. And like I say, Tim Truman is starting out the series with the first one. Tim's amazing. I love Tim's work, and we're going to have artists of Tim's caliber throughout the series. So if you're into collecting original Dead art, or new Dead art, I shouldn't say original, they won't be hand painted, but certainly do check them out, because we are going to put a lot of effort into finding the right artist for that single, and then making sure that the art reflects kind of what's going on with either the song or that era or whatever it is. It's going to be really exciting. It was a great idea, Doran. Thank you. It was a great idea. Or Ivette, whoever had that idea, is terrific, terrific stuff. So that's going to be very cool. Now, I mentioned colored vinyl. The only colored vinyl I have by the Grateful Dead, going back, is my Touch of Grey single from 1987. As you see, can you see that? I don't know if it's reflective. It's gray vinyl. Kind of a weird color for it, but it's really cool. So this is my collection of Grateful Dead singles that I collected from about 1985 to probably 84 to about the late 80s. There used to be a magazine, I don't even know if it's still around. I'm guessing with the internet it might have migrated. I haven't checked it in a while. It's called Goldmine Magazine. And I used to scour. And what it was used vinyl sellers. This was in the 80s. And what they would do is they would list everything they had for sale, and they'd put these like weird typed ads. It was the weirdest format it was the only way to get stuff. But what I do is I just scout. It was all alphabetical, so you get an ad. Every page would have like 5 ads like this big, and it would list all the vinyl they had, and you just scour it. When you're looking for that one record and you're scouring, you get Grateful Dead, and it's like, oh, Europe 72 or something I already have. When you see that one title that you were missing, in my case it was Vintage Dead. I had Historic Dead, you know, those kind of quasi-official records on Sunflower Records in 1973. They're from 1966. I found Vintage Dead on there. Same thing, I was scouring Grateful Dead, and usually it was something I already had, Blues for All or something, but this was Vintage Dead. I paid, I don't know, like $25 for it. Back in the day, 30 years ago, it was quite a bit. So anyhow, I used to collect these. I wanted to collect all of the Dead singles, and I ended up finding 13 of them, and this is my collection. The only 2 I bought new were because I was only getting into the Dead in '84, and by then everything had pretty much been out aside from the stuff that was on In the Dark and Built to Last, which are these 2. So we've got the Touch of Grey single with My Brother Esau on side B, and then we have Foolish Heart and We Can Run on side B, and these are the only 2 that had kind of fancy sleeves. Otherwise, they all came in paper sleeves, right? And so you've got, they just they don't look great. And the worst thing of all, a lot of them do have the original Warner Brothers labels on them with the little Grateful Dead thing. Oh, this is great. Nice thing about Warner Brothers records is they had these crazy ads back in the early 70s for other Warner Brothers records. I love it. So anyhow, so you get these, but you know, they're flimsy, they're old, they sometimes smell a little mildewy. But worst of all, they were always scratched. They were always scratched. I was getting them in the mid-'80s, and I think the most recent one I had, or have, from that I got in the mid-'80s was Alabama Getaway with side B. Oh, this is a promo. This is interesting. Alabama Getaway stereo on side A, Alabama Getaway mono on side B. Boy, that is interesting. Same length. Anyhow. But I think Alabama Getaway, and I've got another one, Don't Ease Me In, and Far From Me, another one from that era, from Go to Heaven. They were really scratchy. They didn't sound good. So for me, it was cool to have, because I was a collector. Again, I ended up with 13, well, one of them apparently is a promo, so I wouldn't even count that as a single. So I ended up with 12, 13 little 45s. And they just don't sound very good. I remember actually In the Dark sounded good, or Touch of Grey with Brother Esau, because I bought it new, likewise Foolish Heart. But the other ones I remember just sounded scratchy, poppy, and I hear a lot of people say, well, that's what we love about vinyl. Well, personally, I don't love it about vinyl. I mean, I accept it and I appreciate it about vinyl, but I certainly don't love it. I'd rather have a clean sounding thing. So these will sound clean. These are going to be brand new from, like I say, they're not coming from vinyl copies, they're coming from the analog master tape, which obviously don't have clicks and pops. So they do sound amazing, and like I say, by the end of the series you will have a bunch that they don't look like this, but they'll have original artwork, so they'll be nice to look at, as opposed to this blue one from Arista, and this white one with a Warner Brothers ad from, that's from Europe 72. Dancing in the Street from Arista, we've got Truckin' with the B-side of Sugar Magnolia. Obviously got some good stuff here. I don't know when we put them on sale. I don't know what will be available. Kind of like the Dave's Picks. We just saw the most recent Dave's Picks sell out in 23 hours or something. I don't know if the singles will go that quickly, but they will sell well. So subscribe, end up with a nice stack of beautiful artwork, great sounding singles of 52 of, I think, the best Grateful Dead songs, or at least I guess you'd say the most popular, but certainly a lot of really good stuff on there. Going from 1966 up to 89, the Built to Last stuff will be the end of it. And what else do you need to know? Like I say, different artists for all 26, which will be 52 pieces of art. Free shipping, which is always good. That's what I love about the subscriptions. You go on once, you order it, and you're done. They just kind of show up. And it's not that expensive. Certainly worth it. When I was paying in the 80s, and I'm not kidding, I think the least I paid for a single was about $15. And for some of the more rare ones, I was paying up to $20, $25. I would save for so long. You know, I was earning about $5 an hour. You know, I don't know. My job was not paying a lot. I was a dishwasher at a Cajun restaurant in Ottawa, Canada. But I remember I'd work, and I remember I'd specifically say, okay, I just worked a 5-hour shift. That's enough to buy a slab of vinyl. That's kind of how I did it. So anyhow, so check it out. The audio is going to sound great. It's going to be from the best source we have available. For the most part, that's going to be the original analog tapes. Dave Glasser, for the most part, I think all of them is the plan. We'll be mastering these. Dave, great job on everything. What else? First time that we've done this, the fancy artwork thing. Colored vinyl. Yeah, so check it out. It's going to be a really good series. Again, like I say, if you're into collecting, this is 13, so it would end up being a stack about twice this big, so maybe that big. So by the end of 7 years, if you're worried about space in your house and another big box set to cover your shelf, you're end up with a stack this big by about that big. So check it out. Again, thanks for listening. Sorry it's not outside, but we figured this being a little bit different from an archival live release, we do something indoors, and it's raining out, and I didn't feel like getting the camera wet. You know, incidentally, I'm okay with the bad weather. I don't mind getting rained on. I have a raincoat. but it's the camera. I don't want to get the camera wet. And I don't really have much of a production crew to hold an umbrella over it. I remember when I used to tape shows, I'd have my microphone up in the air on the mic stand. And if you were a taper at an outdoor show, you might remember this. And you would tape an umbrella over your microphones. And so you'd have this sea of microphone stands with umbrellas on top. It looked really weird, but it kept the microphones dry, which was kind of cool. But boy, taping in the rain was the worst. Anyhow, thanks for listening. Subscribe to the singles collection. It'll be going for the next 6 years maybe, and it's really going to be a cool thing. I think it's one of the kind of cooler non-live archival things we've done. Exciting stuff. Thanks for listening. Bye.